it's a big honor for me to be here at this point. It's been a long process and a long career, you know, from this kid that started out in Westlake, really just enjoying playing the game, not really knowing much about the sport, you know, just loving kicking the ball around, you know, as a little 5-year-old when I first started. I'd heard a lot of things growing up, as my parents could attest to, you know, that were things that could hold any kid back. You know, I had heard that, you know, why is he playing this sport? You know, when there's voting for in high school, some coaches said that, you know, he's the worst player that, you know, that he's ever seen. There's a lot of times where, you know, I never made it, got cut a few times from the district teams, you know, never made it to the state team, never got recruited anywhere, was a walk-on at UCLA, you know, but eventually, you know, through all those hard times, there's some people that I got to lean on, and that was my parents. You know, they were always there for me. You know, my parents were my friends at that time, and I really appreciate that, and I want to say thank you, you know, for everything and supporting me along the way. The one thing that I hope that my career gives to people, especially to kids out there, is inspiration to kids. That they realize that there will be a lot of obstacles in your way, but if you keep pushing and keep moving forward, you rely on your family and friends, that you can get through anything. You know, and I'm a shining example of that, you know, with a guest, you know, of that 164 caps and representing my country in 3 World Cups, Olympics, all that stuff that was up there. It's amazing. You know, it really is. But getting down to it, I want to thank my parents, you know, once again, you know, for driving me every weekend, you know, when we were younger, to all those tournaments, as I'm sure all of us did. We had our parents going every weekend somewhere, you know, and going, you know, my dad to this day still gives me stick. I had to do this, I had to sacrifice this for you. But I kind of realized as I got older, they had a lot of good times after, once they put the kids to sleep. You know, you know, it started to get a little bit louder out in the courtyard at that time. I know what was going on at that point. You know, I want to thank all the coaches through my career. You know, the coaches that early on that gave me those words of encouragement at a young age. The likes of Dave Winalder, Walt Androwski, you know, Mike Williams, and Rudy Blau. You know, there are a lot of players, I mean, a lot of coaches that, you know, when I would get down on myself, would give me that little bit of encouragement, you know, to keep going and keep focusing and continue to go. You know, and the coaches towards the end of my career, you know, and my professional career, could be, you know, Ziggy Smith, Ralph Perez. You know, there's quite a bit. You know, Bruce Arena. You know, there's a lot of coaches that, in their own way, inspired me to be better and push myself, you know, within the game and within the sport, and to continue pushing on. So I'd like to thank them as well. That's my little boy right there. I guess he's happy too. I want to thank a lot of the organizations that I played with, you know, over the years. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, you know, playing in Vasco da Gama, playing in Coventry, because I took a little bit from each of those clubs and organizations as I came back to the United States, and brought that, you know, the fun of the game in Brazil with the workmanlike attitude in England, and kind of brought that together, you know, to go through and play all my years with the Galaxy and with the U.S. national team. So I'd like to thank all those clubs, thank the Los Angeles Galaxy and the organization at AEG, you know, because without them, I mean, I don't know where soccer would be in this country right now. They've definitely given it a boost and supported it. I'd like to thank MLS and all the owners, you know, throughout MLS for everything that they've done. I'd like to thank the fans. You know, they're a special part of it, because as we could all tell you, there's nothing like walking out on a pitch and seeing 70, 80,000 people, you know, screaming and cheering for you, and cheering for the badge, and cheering for the country, and you representing that. It's something special. And there's something to be said about the fans that are cheering against you too. You know, there's quite a few of those over the years, and with that, I'm going to tell a little bit of a story that I think Eddie knows. And the example was when I was with the Galaxy, and we went out to DC to play a game, and before the game, there's this one guy, you know, I don't know if Eddie knows him. Eddie knows what I'm talking about, that would always give me some stick. And I'm warming up, and Eddie happened to be near me, and he's like, you know, North half field, why is that guy always screaming? I'm like, I don't know. He'd always be like, Cobi, you're terrible, you're the worst. But, you know, you just quit, you shouldn't be playing against us. I'm like, whatever. A week later, we had a national team game in DC. And I saw the guy, and Eddie's jogging with me. He's like, okay, here we go. This DC fan, he's going to be supporting you now. So we're jogging. Eddie's like, come on, let's get closer so we can see it. The guy's right there, and we're jogging up, and he saw Cobi. And I look over, and he's like, here he is. He's like, Cobi. And I look up, he's all, you're terrible. You're the worst player. I'm just like, come on, I can't get a break here. You know, I never get a break. But, you know, these DC fans, actually, both of you guys played there. What's with that? I don't know. You know? It was very interesting for me. But yeah, I'd like to thank the fans. They were incredible, and they supported me throughout all the years. One other story that I would like to talk about a little bit is '95 during the Copa America. And some of the fun times I had with one of the Hall of Famers that is here is with Hank. He knows what's coming. I won't go into too many details, but we had some contract issues, you know, with the national team players and the organization, but I can remember getting inspiration from those times, and I'd like to thank you, Hank, because there was a point, I'll just let him know this, that Hank was screaming at the players saying, you guys better get back out on the pitch and practice right now, or there's going to be hell to pay, you know. But because of that and the unity that we had at that point, we did some amazing things, and that was the point in my career that I really realized that U.S. soccer was going someplace special, because it was a bunch of guys, a bunch of kids really, just out of college that have expanding around the world playing soccer, that came together and did some amazing things in that Copa America, you know, and you know, beating Argentina 3-0. No one would have ever guessed that. That was the culmination of it. To this day, Argentinians still come up to me and talk about those times and those games, and that was amazing. Something that I'll never forget. So thank you, Hank, for that phone call. I appreciate that. But you know, thank you, U.S. Soccer, for everything that you've done for me. If there's anyone that I've missed, you know, I apologize. But I would like to thank, last but not least, you know, my family and friends that came here today. I'd like to thank my lovely wife. You know, she came in at the tail end of my career, but she's been immersed in the sport a lot more than I think even I am at this point in time. You know, she's very special to me, and she's helped me with all the hard decisions that I've had to make in the past few years. You know, leaving Los Angeles and going with the Cosmos and exploring those options in the future. And finally, last but not least, I gotta thank all of you again, and U.S. Soccer and everyone up here for this opportunity, because I do have a 5-month-old son that he will never be able to see me play live. But this will be a special moment for me to share with him, and that he could be a part of this and a part of a big moment in my soccer career. Is something special to me, so thank you all very much.